Well, welcome to this episode of Disrepair. It's the much-awaited finale of the 1940 Ford pickup from my dad. We told him it'd be finished by Father's Day. We just didn't tell him what year. Hope you enjoy the final product. Thanks for watching.
I'm working on the 40 Ford pickup that we've had for 4 years, and we're getting kind of down to the end of it, working on it. You want me to open the door and show you?
Yeah. Yep, that's my dad, and you're probably wondering how come it took so long to get this truck done. Our story really dates back to 2009, and I'll let my dad tell how we found this truck and returned it to its former glory.
Well, a guy in Slayton, Texas died, and his kids found out he had all these old cars. We found this in a Quonset building that was full of garage sale stuff piled high. When you open the door, you couldn't even tell there's a car in there. Just piled with bicycles, sewing machines as high as they go, 4 flat tires, and we drug it out. It wouldn't fit in our trailer because it was too tall. We had to take the rims off and drag it in on the brake drums.
And then the truck sat for another 9 years till 2018, when my brothers and I decided that we would take the project on and try to get the truck finished for Father's Day the following year. And like a lot of projects, we started out really enthusiastically, tearing it apart on a cold December weekend, hoping to have it together by the next Father's Day.
Yay, it's out. Let's say it's out.
Safety second, right? Tell me how you fasten the rear end in. I think this is really fascinating.
I just put a user in there, kind of hold it up, just wrapped a couple chains around it, just so something to roll when I move this thing out of here. I'm gonna use right now.
I think this is high test swing set chain. Hey Lane, can you help him?
Several months later.
So we've installed the Mustang 2 front end on the original chassis. Looks pretty nice. Disc brakes up front. This should make it drive really nice. Manual rack. Also installed the drive shaft loop. We boxed in the frame a little bit there to make some space for the new transmission.
6 months later.
After too long a pause for COVID, we were back to work on the truck, and we finished up the chassis and drivetrain. The chassis is painted. We got the suspension on. I did paint these rims and tires, get those put on this thing, but we're just gonna fix and stab the motor in it. Now the fun really begins. We got to go in and reverse all those years of farm work and whiskey dents in this old 40 pickup. Hammering, dollying, body filler, sanding, priming, painting, all those steps. Finally, the truck started to look like a truck again. We applied the base coat, clear coat, Washington blue, and the cab was ready to reinstall. After many weeks of work and about a couple gallons of paint, we finally got all the running boards, fenders, bed, tailgate, hood, and all the other components painted blue and ready to put back together. Now that we've got everything painted, we can pick up where we left off.
This is the 40 truck that I've been working on for 4 years, or well, the last 2 years have been hitting it pretty hard. Pretty much done with it. I've probably driven it over 100 miles here in the last few days just to kind of test it. It cleaned up pretty good underneath here. We got a few issues, but it's not bad. That's a 9-inch Ford rear end. It's out of like a 57 Ford, 370 gears in it, which works good with an overdrive, because I'll probably pull a little camper behind it sometime. The transmission is an AOD. I got dual exhaust. I put quiet mufflers on it. If you're going to drive across country, you want quiet mufflers. Loud mufflers are nice at car shows and running around town, but if you're out driving, They get pretty annoying after a while. It had a flathead V8 at the time with with the 4-speed granny low transmission, and I was going to use a flathead, but it was beyond repair. It was pretty well trashed out, so I decided to use a later model fuel injected engine. Anyway, this is a fuel injected motor. It's 5.0. They don't dress out real nice. They really fill the engine compartment up with a lot of stuff. It's got vintage air on it, an electric fan, and all that stuff that makes it really user-friendly to drive. Well, the chrome headlight rings actually only come on the deluxe coupes. The original ones were painted, but that dresses it up quite a bit on the front with these. Interior, I use kind of some vintage upholstery. This is actually out of like a Ford pickup. Seat actually come out, a back seat out of an SUV. It was the 3rd row seat that just fits in there perfectly. The dash is pretty much kind of original, other than I got used a vintage gauge set for the instrument panel, which is solid state, all electronic, which works a lot nicer. It does have vintage air in there, with the louvers here and the control in the middle. Tail lights on this are actually off a 44 Deluxe, but they're a lot nicer looking than the original. This bed is red oak, and it's finished with spar varnish to make it waterproof. Which spar varnish is what you'd use on a boat, I guess. And the toolbox is made out of the same wood, so it kind of matches real well with the same stainless strips on it.
It may have taken more years to complete this truck than we had planned, but sometimes it's not about how long it took, but the journey it took to get you there. The truck is far from perfect, but it's perfect for what the vision we had for it, and I don't think my dad can be any prouder of what we've done together. Happy motoring, Dad.